Hi everybody and welcome to the first episode of Animal Drawing with Alicia, and today we're going to be doing some Arctic wolves. I was about to say dire wolves. I've been like definitely been watching Game of Thrones lately, but we're doing Arctic wolves today, so this should be fun. I have a couple of different images here, so I'm just going to go through them each. I think we'll do 5-minute poses, so if you want to draw along, feel free to do so, or if you just like to sort of just observe or watch what I'm doing and maybe just practice later on your own. That's fine too. So whatever you feel best with. So let's get started. I'm going to start with this pose, and this one is going to be a 5-minute pose. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Yeah. And what I'm going to do is start with a light colored pencil and then go over with a darker shade. So I'm going to start now with a 14 point. And what I want to do first is what I usually do with animals is try and get the basic shape of the animal first. And I do the same thing when I'm drawing at the zoo, only when I draw at the zoo, I'll do it with watercolors. So I'll use a wash and I'll usually get the form of the animal first and then go over and do the details. But now, since I'm using digital and I'm using a Cintiq, I'm just going to do it with a white outline. You can do it with black too, or whatever color that you like. I just wanted to do it with a lighter color and then go back and go ahead and do the detail. Right now, I'm not putting anything really specific. I just want to figure out where everything's going to be going. And then I'll come back and then I'll be able to actually put in some other specifics. So now I just want to see like where the legs start. See that abdomen there, where his eye meets to the back, to his back or her back, not quite sure, but the middle of the chest is. And now I'm going to go in with a darker pencil and a smaller point. So I'm going to go to a 9-point pencil now. And I'm just going to do it for the sake of practice. I'm just going to do it all on the same layer. If you wanted to go ahead and remove the white, then you would add a separate layer to add the darker pencil. But for what we're doing right now, just some practice sketching, I'm just going to go ahead and do it on the same layer. And now I'll be more specific with the details. You don't have to worry about being perfect. I mean, you want to just sketch to the best of your own ability, and you can always come back and make changes as you go. You want to see, because the animal does have a lot of fur, you want to draw it in as sort of part of the form, especially if you can't see what's going on underneath the fur. You just want to draw the fur in there as you see it. You want to get as much detail as you can in. So as much of the changes that you see with where certain parts in, like try and get as detailed as possible at this point, but really just trying to get everything onto your page. And I'm seeing now where I can make some changes, but that's kind of what first sketches are for. And that's why I would always recommend too, if you're new to drawing animals, to do several takes of the same image if you're using a reference. You can do several versions, or even if you're drawing at the zoo, I would recommend drawing the same animal at least 2 to 3 times. But for what we're doing here, we're just going to do each image once. And I brought in a couple of references. They're all from Google. They're not, anything hard to find. They're pretty, if you search up an Arctic wolf on Google, you'll find these same images. But now just going through and adding some more detail. And that's our 5-minute timer. We got most of the detail in, not everything, but I think it's a pretty good one for our first sketch of the day. So let's go ahead onto the second image. And here's another image of a lovely Arctic wolf. And I'm going to move that one over a little bit so we have some more space. And we're going to do the same thing here, another 5-minute sketch. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the lighter pencil using a 14-point pencil. It looks like a charcoal pencil in Photoshop, but it's actually called like a watercolor round. Okay, so 5-minute pose starting right now. And I'm just gonna do the same thing I did before, trying to get in the form of the animal. And right now I want to separate the front half or I don't know what it's called. I don't know the scientific term, but the front half, I'm going to try and separate the front half from the rear and see where those legs are. Trying to keep in mind how much space there is between front and back. As I noticed, I got a little mixed up in my first sketch, so you can use what you learned, like all the mistakes that you made from your first sketch, take that with you to your next sketch, so you learn from what you do. And usually on Mondays is the day that I go to the zoo and sketch live there, but I wanted to try doing something where I can share a little bit more with everyone here, which, can be anywhere in the world you guys can be watching from. So that way more people can get sort of the benefit out of the wildlife drawing, and it could be shared more. So if you haven't done any sketching yet of wildlife, I hope that you join me on Mondays. I'll be doing this on Mondays starting this week, so I'm pretty excited about it. Don't have a definite time yet, but as of now, it'll be every Monday. We'll be doing some wildlife sketching. So if you watch this video and you like it, go ahead and share or subscribe, because I will be posting more images, and I'm not images, but more videos of sketching wildlife on Mondays. And now I'm going to go in with the darker pencil. I almost got a little too carried away with putting details in with the white, so now I want to go ahead with the dark pencil and start putting in the details here where we are. Wolves are one of my favorite animals. Definitely love them. I think they're beautiful to look at. Something very mystical and mystique about them, and I really love that. I see his nose is really close to the front of his muzzle, so I'm trying to sort of capture that aspect of him or her. I'm not quite sure. I don't think there's really any way to tell other than looking up their skirt, which we can't do right now, but We have a few minutes left, I think. About a minute and a half left of this sketch. So if you're sketching along, try and get as much detail in as you can. And you can always come back and um, finish the sketch that you start on. Right now, we just want to get in a couple of different reference sketches in, and then you can always go back and finish them up on your own time or whatever. But you can see already in this image we got a lot more done than in the first one, and that just comes with practicing. And as you like work through a practice day of sketching, you'll see each image will progress in how much you get done in that same amount of time, and actually also how much better you do in each sketch. You'll progress even throughout your one day of working. Even now I can add in some, maybe a little bit of shadow. So already I've gotten in a lot more detail than I did on my first sketch of the day, or my first wildlife drawing of this session, I should say. And that's our 5 minute timer. So we're gonna move on to the next one. And we're gonna do this one for 5 minutes as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it again with the 14 point using a white pencil. So starting now. Because I don't have a whole lot of space on this side, I want to try and give myself enough room to get the whole image in. So as you can see, it's not incredibly different than drawing human. You do want to, I use pretty simple shapes to start with, regardless if I'm drawing people or animals. And I think it makes it a lot less complicated to just start with simple shapes, especially like your kidney bean shape for the body, and using circles and rectangles and things like that to help you, to help guide the beginning of your sketch. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna go in and use a smaller point in a dark color. You can probably hear howling in the background. It's not just your imagination. I started watching a documentary of on wolves on Netflix, and I was like, I was still trying to decide which animal to draw for the day, and I guess just turning on that documentary sealed the deal. So I said, okay, we'll do wolves today. If you have a preference of what kind of animal you want to do next week, you can go ahead and leave that request in the comment section, and if I get one or more of the same thing, then that's what we'll do. Just trying to keep in mind the different types of shapes that are going on with this animal when it comes to like the paws and everything. Animals with more fur can be tricky to draw at times, but once you start to understand their shape, it does make it a lot easier. So don't be intimidated by all the hair. You'll start to understand it. And even if you draw, even if you practice like sketching some dogs that have less fur, which all dogs do descend from wolves, so they're all related. Um, you can definitely get in some practice doing some dogs that don't have as much hair. And obviously, wolves are shaped. Their bodies are much different than domestic dogs, but they do have a lot of similarities also. So if you do practice sketching with some dogs, you'll see that you'll become a lot more adept to drawing wolves. But also don't, even if you've never even drawn a wolf before, don't feel intimidated. The more you practice, the better you're gonna get at it. And now I'm gonna do a little bit of shading on this guy. And even after you get past shading, you can start to, if you want on your own time, get into doing some color with these. That's our 5 minute timer. So we're gonna have to move on to the next image. I was enjoying doing this one. Okay, so that's what we got done in 5 minutes. Let's try another one. Okay, so now we got a pair. So drawing a pair is going to be a little bit more complicated, even though these are two pups. We're still going to be doing two, and I would recommend if you're sketching along, then to draw both of them in the same 5 minute time. You just have to space out your time. You probably won't be able to get as much detail, but at least get both of their bodies fully on your page. I just recommend um, even if you can't finish the whole thing, getting at least the outline of everything that you want in your sketch as quick as possible, rather than just like, getting really detailed in with like one face, and you get all the way detailed into that, and you don't have any of the rest of your image. I'd rather you, as your helper that I am, I'd rather you get at least a rough image of your entire thing, everything that's going on, even if it's just rough. You know what I mean? It's just going to be a lot better for you in the long run. And you'll learn as you keep going to do it faster and faster. Okay, so now we're going to do this image. And we're going to start this one also in 5 minutes. So let me grab my white pencil. Even if it's not really a pencil, I call it pencil. It's 5 minutes starting now. I should make them a little bit smaller actually, so I can get everything on the image onto my little draft here. And I'm actually meeting them right where they meet, where they touch actually in the photo. So that way it helps me to get like the ratio of the two of them a little bit easier. And then I'll start to get a little bit more specific with where I want to put things on my page. One right here. Can't really see the tail, so I'm gonna go ahead and start to add a darker color now, I think. This one feels like more tilted. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get the darker color and begin to add some more detail. So even though I know I'm not going to be able to finish this entire um, photo in the limited time that we have for this pose, I'm glad that at least I have the frame of where everything is going to be going. That way it's easy for me to pick up where I left off if I want to come back and finish the image later. I also think with pause can be tricky, just like hands on humans. I definitely would let anybody who's trying to get better at drawing pause to draw this one simple, almost like a dome shape first with their lighter pencil, and then come in and there's four main ones. So you have the dome, and then there's four main little finger or whatever they're called. I don't know. And then they usually have one off on the side, so that would make the five. But definitely, I would recommend doing it like that: the dome, and then one in the middle, and then you slice it in half. You slice the dome in half, then you slice like that, and then you put each other little finger or whatever it's called on each side. And I'll kind of leave it like that for now. It definitely makes it easier to approach than just same with a hand, just trying to get it all like detailed all right at the beginning. I mean, that almost is never gonna happen. Rather, just like dumb it down into small sections. That way, it's easier to finish it. And it's like everything in life, really. If you break it down into easier pieces, it's harder. It's makes it easier to swallow, I guess. And just like with any images, also when I'm doing the top sketch, I'll change things as I see fit to change. So that's what we got done in 5 minutes. Not as much done as we did with the others, but also take in mind we're doing two images or two figures instead of one. So I say it's not a bad start. Now we're going to move on to the next one. And this is a pretty neat one, huh? He's obviously getting ready to hunt something or checking something out. Looks like he's pretty interested. So this one I would say is a male. I don't know, but it looks really masculine to me. And I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to do another 5-minute pose. See how far we can get with this one. Okay, this one might even be a gray wolf. Actually, don't think this one is Arctic. So, oh well, we're still going to draw you anyway. 5 minutes starting now. And what I really see as, beautiful and catching my eye right away is this shape of the back, this like arching shape in the back that I really want to capture and make sure that I capture. And the head is really low to the body. Like really low. You can see how much space there is between the ears and the top of the back. And those are just things that you want to observe as you're putting your initial image down. I'm actually going to start with the back legs instead of the front this time, just because of the way the sky is moving. I like to do the ones that are planted before I do the ones that are kind of up. As I mentioned before with the last Figure Friday, I always like to do the legs that are holding the weight first. That way you kind of ensure a little bit better that your image is going to be um, grounded and not off balance, because you're forced to kind of think with the weight when you do it that way. Okay, I got pretty much most of what I want to get done with this initial sketch, and I think I'm going to go ahead and switch to my dark color at this point so I can get some detail in. And I kind of want to start with those eyes. And I'm doing all of these videos live. Almost all of my videos on YouTube are live stream. I think there's a few, the ones that are like instrumental or like, fast play, which are, I think I only have about 2 or 3 of those. But most of my videos here on YouTube are live stream, and I'm drawing live as I'm talking. So it makes it a lot easier for me to share content with you because I don't have to edit or anything like that. I'm working here by myself and I want to be able to put out a lot of content. And I think the best way for me to be able to do that is to stream live. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to put out nearly as many videos. And I'm really much more concerned with how much I can really give right now to helping other people who are learning how to draw and learning how to improve their drawing, um, either on their own for the first time, or you're trying to pick drawing back up after maybe graduating a long time ago and maybe you haven't drawn for a few months or a few years, or you just want to, maybe you don't have access to art school or something like that, and you just want, or maybe you're even in art school and you just like want someone to draw with. I'm here for all of those people. So hopefully I can bring something to your creative life at whatever area you're at with this, with your sketch life. Even with drawing the more detailed line, I think I still, for the most part, start my drawing with the weighted feet. Just helps to reinforce the weight of the drawing. You want the drawing to actually show weight as well. I'm going to do a little bit of shading with this one. Just feels like it calls for it, especially because of those beautiful markings on this guy. And I kind of want to stick to going in the same direction as it is naturally on his body. I know that's the timer. This one was fun to draw. Really fun to draw. But you can always go back and always can always go back with these and make them more detailed as we go. But there's 5 minutes. I've got a few more here for you. Here is one of them. So we're going to start this one as well, doing another 5 minute pause. Oh yeah, it just started, so go ahead and start if you haven't yet. I see almost like a, I don't know if that's like a cone shape or seeing two main shapes on this guy. The first one and the second one. Those are like the two primary shapes I'm seeing. Figure out where the front paws are. I'm gonna do kind of dome shaped. Seeing the distance between each paw. That gives me perspective of where to put my second foot or paw, whatever. Find where these ones are. And the angled feet are a little bit more tricky, but I would just recommend just drawing it. If you mess up, who cares? Just draw it anyway. And just like a glimmer of the tail, not much. Making a few adjustments to where I see things are going as I'm looking at it with clearer eyes now. After a few minutes of looking at the same image, you'll start to see things that didn't maybe stand out as you first started looking. Try to figure out at least the basis for where the eyes are going to go. And we'll come back later in the week, possibly, and do some character designs of the same animal that we did for the Monday wildlife sketching. So it's not just for nothing or for naught. Practice has purpose. We do these live sketches of these realistic animals so we can go ahead then and make character designs from them. The better you understand the actual animal, the better you're going to be able to make characters from it. People that don't understand cartooning and animation think that just you just draw funny cartoons and like that's it. But you do really have to understand whatever it is that you're drawing, whether it's an animal or human, or if you're doing backgrounds, doesn't matter. You have to understand the real thing if you're going to make a cartoon of it. That's just how it goes. At least if you're going to do a good job at making a cartoon of it, you have to know the real life thing. Then you can go ahead and make a caricature of it. The better you understand the real version, the better you're going to understand and make a really like more effective and convincing caricature. That's just how it is. And understand even like some of my realistic drawings do have a little bit of a cartoon like feel, at least a little bit. But this is me drawing realistic. I mean, they do kind of look a little bit cartoony, but that's how I draw. And I'm okay with that. I was like, it used to make me feel a little bit like insecure about it, like, oh, maybe I just draw like cartoony stuff. But I think my realistic stuff is realistic enough that you can get it, and I'm okay with it. I like how I draw. It's good to like how you draw. Like how you draw. You don't have to draw like anybody else. Just draw how you draw. As long as you're drawing, right? When I'm drawing just like this, it's like sketching like this makes me happy. And if anything makes me happier than just sketching stuff. This sounds sad. It's just happy to me. Like that's our time, but I do want to get this back foot in just to show how I do it because it's not every day or every image that you're gonna get the option or the to be able to draw like slanted feet, and they are a little bit complicated. So I'm just like keep looking at my reference a little bit and drawing the toes on a slant. Just trying to keep in mind, try and give the illusion of it being on a slant a little bit. And also, the more you practice doing this, the better you'll get at it, just like with anything. Just kind of doing a little bit of overlap with the toes. That'll help. I know I'm not really perfect at that either, but I'm just trying to give you like an idea of how you would go about doing the back leg when they're laying down like this. Which dogs often lay down like this, or wolves, or even cats. They all kind of lay down similar. Okay, so that's this sketch. Not bad. I would definitely go back and add some more detail and things, but in a later time. Let's save my image just to make sure I don't forget to do that. And we've got this one here, who is another beauty, I might say. So we're going to sketch this one at 5 minutes as well. Starting, how about now? How about that? And I hope you guys enjoyed sketching with me today. I really had a very nice time sketching with you all. And I hope that you come back for doing the character design with the animals, which will be later this week. This is all brand new kind of content. Well, not kind of content, it's brand new content that I'm kind of giving a try for the first time this week. So, Mondays will be our wildlife drawing day and our animal drawing day. So, I hope that you return for that next week. And also subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. We do some pretty awesome things and still really new, just been around for the last few months, but getting places, I would say. I think I'll go ahead and start doing some detail now on this sketch. They have relatively small eyes for their face. But if I'm right about this, wolves are much more attuned with their hearing than their sight, as most dogs are. Hearing and smell is really, especially smell, is what I meant. think hearing is also important, yeah, but their smell is really the most what they depend on for their survival. And they do almost have like a widow's peak, I've noticed with the wolves. And these Arctic ones have a lot of fur. Just try and keep in mind like where things are going, like where things are in ratio to each other. That helps a lot. Trying to find a dominant leg, the one carrying the weight. I don't know what I did here for the rough sketch. That's not quite going in that direction. But we got a pretty good amount of detail going, and I'm gonna go ahead and add some shading. That's our timer. That was fast that time, it feels like. So go ahead and finish up. It's going to be our last sketch of the day, but I hope that you enjoyed this time. I did. And return for Figure Friday and for character design and doing more wildlife and animal sketching next week. Obviously, I'm not really good with the timer. I'm never really that great with the timer. I always like to keep sketching, but you can continue to sketch, and I encourage you to do so. And I will continue to draw throughout the day as well. And I will see you guys again in a couple of days. Have a great one, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.